Hello everyone, before we start today's video, if you could all do me a solid and lightly tap the like button, perhaps share the video about and leave a comment. If you are not subscribed, subscribe as well. It would greatly help this channel. Thank you very much. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Captain's log, subdates 220622.5. We have another celebrity, folks. Guess we're gonna have to dust off our fabled, iconic and truly legendary welcome, the Penetrator. They can all thank Ian Watkins. It's his fault. He keys to stash the cell phone. We have no choice. Hello everyone, welcome to the Halls of Injustice. Today we welcome inmate number 130 to the ISO cubes. Our inmate's name is Josh Duggar. Josh Duggar's going to be here for quite some time. This particular Halls of Injustice was sent to me on the 30th of April 2021 by Bookworm Addict. Omegon, here is a story for Halls of Injustice to keep an eye on, and he is a celebrity. I did at the time quickly attempt to nab some tweets. Some from Garrett Ferguson and Emily D. Baker. Emily D. Baker has since deleted her tweet that simply said, "Well, that gives a hint that the charges involve minors, doesn't it? This will be interesting." Because Josh Duggar at the time, courtesy of Garrett Ferguson, pled not guilty to charges. But at the time we didn't know the charges, with the judge also confirming at that time that Josh Duggar must live with a third party if bond is granted, and also that no minors live in that home. There's the giveaway, folks. Myself and one other over the course of a year have been holding on to and acquiring additional sources as more and more has transpired, because we weren't in truth certain as to what was going to happen and how long this process would take. So first of all, we need to tell you, the lovely viewer, hello, who Josh Duggar is, before moving on to the crimes, the trial, and the sentence. I have a sneaky feeling this one might take a while. Josh Duggar rose to fame back in 2008 as part of the 19 kids and counting Duggar family. The family itself are an independent Baptist family and have over the years faced multiple scandals and controversies. I have just one question. 19? Are you mental? The show itself was only cancelled in 2015 because of molestation accusations levied at Josh Duggar. The show ran for 15 seasons. This is mental. The accusations actually came from 4 of his own sisters, which was confirmed by his mother and father, Jim Bob and Michelle, during a Fox News interview. And it actually took the family more than a year to report their actions of Josh to the authorities, according to a police report. A 2006 police report that was obtained by In Touch magazine indicated that Jim Bob had first become aware of accusations against his son in 2002, with further accusations being made against Josh in 2003. Senior members at the family's church all agreed that Josh Duggar should be sent to a Christian treatment program. In that same year, and according to the report, Jim Bob took his son to see a state trooper, and Josh told him what had happened, with the state trooper giving him a stern talk. But it was not escalated further. Allegations were only known to authorities in 2006 after a family friend wrote a letter detailing Josh Duggar's actions. The letter itself had been placed in a book that had then been forgotten about. The book was then loaned to somebody else with the letter inside, and the person who had borrowed it discovered the letter. A source then emailed the Oprah show prior to the family's appearance in 2006 detailing the allegations of molestation. The letter was then faxed to the Department of Human Services hotline, who opened an investigation. The police at the time couldn't though investigate it because the statute of limitations had expired. It was only 3 years at the time. Another scandal involving Josh Duggar. Josh Duggar was a user of the Ashley Madison website between 2012 and 2015. A devout Christian and married to his wife Anna in 2008. Well, yeah, this didn't look good, did it? He had to admit to the claims and released a statement calling himself the biggest hypocrite ever, further stating that while espousing faith and family values, I have secretly over the last several years been viewing pornography on the internet, and this became a secret addiction, and I became unfaithful to my wife. They stayed together, and at the time that this was released, they were expecting their 7th child together. I know that you really want to stick together through thick and thin. I get it. Several kids together, you're clearly there for the long haul, or you have really bad pull-out game, don't consider birth control an option. Consider everything else, and by all means insert those obligatory options here. But dear God, woman, still together? Anna Duggar's own family, sister no less, has urged her to divorce Josh, but she seems reluctant to do so. And I say this not having yet inserted what he was arrested for, charged with, and sentenced for. So I guess now we should talk about what Josh Duggar got into trouble for. The crimes of Josh Duggar. On April 29, 2021, US Marshals arrested Josh Duggar on federal charges of receiving and possessing child pornography. At the time, prosecutors had alleged that Josh Duggar obtained the images in May of 2019, and it was acknowledged that a federal investigation by the Office of the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Arkansas had been previously recommended that Josh Duggar's used car dealership wholesale motor cars was searched by U.S. Homeland Security agents in November of 2019 as a part of an initiative launched by the U.S. Department of Justice to protect children from sexual abuse and exploitation. The federal grand jury's indictment accused Josh Duggar of having knowingly received pornographic images of children who were under 12. Following his arrest, he was booked into the Washington County Jail. On the 30th of April, Josh then pled not guilty to 1 count each of charges of receiving and possessing child pornography. The U.S. Chief Magistrate Judge Erin L. something I can't pronounce said that if Josh Duggar were to be awarded bail, he'd have to be in a residence where no minor was in his home. At that time, Josh Duggar's 6 children were under the age of 11. Josh Duggar was then granted conditional bail and was released from jail and transferred into custody of a third-party custodian. As part of the conditions of the bail, Josh Duggar was permitted to have contact with his children only in the presence of his wife. He was required to wear an ankle monitor, have a probation officer's permission to leave the third-party custodian's home. He could not access the internet and could not be inside a residence where firearms were stored. Gerald Faulkner, a special agent for Homeland Security Investigations, stated the files on the computer were in the top 5 of the worst that he'd ever had to examine. One of the videos allegedly in Josh Duggar's possession, created by Peter Scully, depicts an 18-month toddler is involved. I'm not going to use any descriptive language for that one. On the 5th of May 2021, a federal agent testified that Josh Duggar downloaded and possessed 65 images of child pornography. Following his arrest, the Duggar family responded to the charges by saying, "We appreciate your continued prayers for our family at this time. The accusations brought against Joshua today are very serious. It is our prayer that the truth, no matter what it is, will come to light, and this will all be resolved in a timely manner." Well, Josh certainly has plenty of time on his hands at present, we'll get to that soon. Many commentary channels had made videos talking about his arrest, and many of them pointed out that the Duggar family clearly knew about Josh's issues. And proof of that would be they moved all the girls' bedrooms to one side of the house, and Josh could only get there by walking past his parents' room, a somewhat protective barrier. Not that it actually stopped him, he still managed to do things. The fact that over the years these issues have mounted up and continue to do so to a point when they finally reached an unbearable amount, it all came crashing down, tarnishing everyone's reputation because of the inaction of the family unit. Proof of that could be the fact that Jim Bob attempted to become an Arkansas state senator. He finished 3rd. For a family that claims to want to do the right thing, your interpretation of it was remarkably selective when it came to Josh. He should have been locked up years ago, and you know it. Originally, Josh Duggar had been offered a plea deal. The original trial was scheduled for July the 6th. Because Josh Duggar had not accepted the plea deal by an October deadline, the trial was rescheduled for the 30th of November 2021. In October 2021, Josh Duggar's lawyers attempted to use procedural nuisances to get the case against him dismissed. The judge described the actions of those lawyers as frivolous. Further attempts were made by the lawyers to suppress evidence against him. They were also denied by the judge. I'm seeing the tactics you're using, by the way. Fingers in ear, la 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 la, it's not real because I can't hear it. Okay. The prosecution had wanted to bring up sexual assault accusations made against him when he was a young teenager. The defense alleged that these charges were irrelevant and could prejudice a jury, so a pre-trial hearing was held on November the 18th, at which the judge demanded an evidentiary hearing. The evidentiary hearing was held on the 29th. It was used to determine if Josh Duggar's father, Jim Bob Duggar, and family friend Bob Ye Holt could testify as prosecution witnesses during the trial. During this 3-hour hearing, both took the stand, with Holt testifying that Josh Duggar had fondled 4 younger girls since the age of 12. Again, when the trial began, Josh Duggar's lawyers filed a motion to urge the presiding judge to dismiss any further testimony from Bob Ye Holt. La la la, I can't hear you, it's not real. Rinse and repeat. Imagine my shock. I feel like I've seen that tactic used far too many times in episodes of Law and Order, because how dare anyone say anything disparaging that could, in turn, paint a picture of long-term criminal activity against children. Also, he was caught with the images on his computer, so I don't know why dismissing them helps you at all, because it doesn't really. He's still got the computer and the images on it. So what do you really think will sway the jury? The hard evidence on the computer that proves Josh Duggar is a nonce, or the fact that he's been a nonce for a long time? Maybe you should have taken a plea deal. On the 1st of December 2021, opening statements took place after trial judge Timothy L. Brooks denied the bid from Duggar's defense counsel to have past abuse allegations dismissed as trial evidence. On that same day, Detective Amber Calmer of the Little Rock Police Department became the first witness of the trial to testify. When she was called to the stand by the prosecution, she explained how the software she uses at work alerts her when questionable material is downloaded onto a specific IP address. She uses this software to then track Josh's IP address, which was flagged about 2.5 years ago. This in turn caused her to alert Homeland Security. On December 3rd, an official from the Department of Justice testified that the hard drive in Josh Duggar's computer had been partitioned. If you don't know what a partition is, it's where you take a hard drive, say you've got a terabyte, and you divide it into 2 separate drives, maybe more if you want to. That means you can create alternate pathways to store certain things. This can be done to hide information. In the case of Josh Duggar, material of the noncery variety. And with what Josh was using, one side was used with Windows, which was mainly used for business. The second partition had Linux installed, which he used to download, access, and share nonce content. The accountability software Covenant Eyes had been installed on the Windows side and was set to alert Duggar's spouse when adult content was viewed. But the software itself could not detect anything untoward when Linux was in use. And to find out more about the Linux partition itself, Jim Holt was called to testify, because Josh Duggar back in 2010 had actually called Jim Holt to ask him how to create a Linux partition. Bob Ye Holt was also called to testify and reiterated the same information that she testified on November the 29th. Opening statements began on December 1st, 2021. Josh Duggar was found guilty by a jury on December 9th, 2021, on the charge of receiving and possessing child pornography, which at the time was considered the more serious of all the charges. It was believed the sentence would come around about March, but we didn't get a sentence until the 25th of May 2022. I earlier mentioned Anna Duggar's sister Amy, who, like a number of other people, but not many within the Duggar family, begged the judge for the harshest sentence that could be administered in this case. He was facing at the time up to 20 years in prison and a fine of up to $250,000 for each of the 2 counts that he was found guilty of. Josh Duggar, inmate number 130, was sentenced to 12 years and 7 months in prison, followed by 20 years of supervised release. When he is then on supervised release, he must register as a sex offender, during which he can have no unsupervised contact with minors, This would include his own children. He can only access internet with permission of a probation officer and must agree to monitoring his online activity. He was also fined $10,000 and ordered to pay an additional $40,100 in special assessments. Additionally, Josh Duggar's legal team are filing for acquittal, arguing that the evidence presented at trial did not support conviction. Because what, a slap on the wrist would have been enough? The sentence is 20 years for us, by the way, plus a 0, so 200. Yes, we're dicks here at the Halls of Injustice, get used to it.